Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Beverly Hills High School and our John Turney Lecture Hall. My name is Drew Stewart. I'm the principal here, and I'm going to turn it over very quickly to our student leaders that we have up here. A tremendous thank you to our candidates for being here this evening, and for the fact that you are putting yourself out there to be enormous supporters of the city of Beverly Hills. This is an amazing opportunity for our young student leaders in the area of civic engagement, and so I want to thank you all very much, and I'm going to quickly turn it over to them. I would like to introduce Camille Kaiserman and Lauren Stewart, our presidents of Club Interact and Teen BHEF. Sorry, Lauren Mandel, excuse me.
Hello and welcome to the 2024 City Council Candidate Forum. My name is Camille Kaiserman, and I am the president of Interact Club and vice president of Teen BHEF. The Interact Club is a community service club run by the students at Beverly Hills High School.
My name is Lauren Mandel, and I'm the president of BHEF. Teen BHEF is an organization that raises money for the school district and helps communities in need.
My name is Charlie Brock, and I'm also co-president of Interact Club and vice president of Teen BHEF. It is important to state that Teen BHEF and Club Interact are impartial to any candidate. Questions have been formulated by students without the help or influence of any adults or supervisors. No biases are affecting the process of this forum, which is solely led by the members of the student body. Questions have been designed to reflect student, city, and community issues.
I will be explaining how the questions are going to be asked and answered. The first question will be asked to candidate number 1. Once candidate number 1 has completed answering the question, candidate number 2 will answer the same question. The second question will then be asked to candidate number 2. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions, and there will be timers in the front row to indicate how much time you have left.
Throughout the forum, the timers will hold up 3 different colored pieces of paper. If they are holding up a green piece of paper, that means you are allowed to start answering your question. If they're holding up a yellow piece of paper, that means you have 30 seconds left to answer the question. If they're holding up a red piece of paper, you are out of time.
We will now begin with each candidate giving their opening statements. You will each have 1 minute to give your opening remarks, starting with candidate number 1. Oh, 2 minutes, my bad, sorry.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting this event tonight. I'm Craig Corman. I am a 50-year resident of Beverly Hills. I went to Hawthorne kindergarten through 8th grade and also Beverly High. I think I'm the only candidate who actually went to the schools. Anybody nodding? Okay, so I think I am. Interesting, I was going through some old files at my mother's house the other day, and I found my student ID cards from literally 50 years ago, 1974 to 75. So if anyone wants to see what student ID cards look like in the olden days, here they are to take a look. I'm aware of the kind of work you put in to host this event tonight. When I was a student here, I was involved in some student government and KBEV activities, and I was on the panel that interviewed a number of politicians who came through. So I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. I know they're going to be good. After I was here at Beverly, I went on and got my undergraduate degree from Stanford and my law degree from Michigan. I've raised my own family here. My wife and I have been here we were married 33 years. And in the last decade and a half, I've been fortunate to serve on various city commissions, 8 years in the Planning Commission, the last 5 years on the Cultural Heritage Commission. I like being involved in city government. It's a good way to help people and give back to the community. And that's why I'm running for city council. Thank you.
Now, candidate number 2.
Good evening. My name is Mary Wells, and I'm the only current elected official that's running for city council. I've lived in Beverly Hills for over 15 years, and I'm married to John Hanover, and we've raised our 3 children in Beverly Hills. My term on the school board ends this year, and my success can be measured by my results. I transformed our district's safety and security program, cleaned up our construction program, saved tens of millions of taxpayer dollars, and implemented a strategic plan to address academic achievement, mental health, bullying, and anti-Semitism. I'm running to bring my proven leadership, experience, and fresh ideas to City Council. My top priority is to increase our safety and security by hiring more officers, expanding patrols, and establishing a dedicated metro unit, and increasing our use of technology, including cameras, drones, and AI technology to fight crime. I plan to increase our resident services to support our seniors, our young families, and our renters, including establishing a centralized Beverly Hills daycare and preschool center at the Hawthorne School. I have a degree in business from USC, and I understand budgets, and I believe in fiscal responsibility and accountability. I will advocate for a city auditor and implement zero-based budgeting like we've started at our school district here. I will immediately focus on getting an improved housing element and mitigating traffic on our major arteries and on cut-through streets in our residential neighborhoods. We can all identify the issues, but what sets me apart is that I'm currently confronting many of these issues daily as an elected official, and I've proven that my approach gets things done. I'm endorsed by the Firefighters Association and many current and former elected officials and community leaders who know that I will identify issues, find creative solutions, and build consensus to bring about positive results.
Unfortunately, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Now, candidate number 3.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, well, good evening. Good evening, and thank you to the Interact Club and Team BHEF for hosting this evening, us this evening. It's so exciting to have the youngest leaders, younger generation of leaders actively involved in our city's election process, and I appreciate you putting on this forum tonight. I'm Elisa Roston. I've been actively engaged in our community for over 40 years. My late husband, Warren, and I moved into the city largely because of the schools, and all 4 of our children went to BV and graduated from Beverly High. I currently have a granddaughter in the district in TK. From a young age, I had a desire to give back, and that's evident from my over 40 years of service to this community. I was elected and served 2 full terms on the school board, was the PTA president at BV and here at Beverly, and served as vice president of BHEF. From a young age, I had a desire to give back. Oh, I said that already. I have been on 2 city commissions and recently completed my term as Recreation and Parks Commission chair. I'm also the past Rotary Club member and president, and a Temple Emmanuel board member. And I'm so excited to see how active the Interact Club is here today. I'm the only candidate with governance experience outside of the city, currently serving on the Pitzer College board for the last 14 years. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Beverly Hills Firefighters Association, the Beverly Hills WeHo Democratic Club, the League of Conservation Voters, the Beverly Press, and BizFed. If elected, my top 4 priorities are communication and outreach, increasing public safety, collaborative city planning, and financial accountability. I'm proud of my record of always trying to find balance and to make the best decision for all involved on any board or organization where I have served, and I will do the same if I am given this job. I hope I can earn your support and your vote. Thank you.
Now, candidate number 4.
Thank you. My name is Sharon Persovsky, and I'm an environmental graphics designer, former architectural commissioner, and founder of Smiles Through Art, an arts in healthcare nonprofit organization. My 2 children study in the BHUSD, and they recently graduated, and I'm very familiar with the process of what is happening in the schools for the last 5 or 10 years. I also contributed in my work in the schools while my children were here, running a national art program called Reflections, and I did that for 5 years. And the program that I led, it was recognized by the state of California as an example for other schools nationwide. And later on, I was elected to work also in 33rd District, which we were working with 300 schools in the same program. And later, I was elected to be a national judge for the same program. So for me, arts in education has always been very important and very important to bring it to our schools. I also was part of the Beverly Arts Committee, where I also work in the master plan for 2015 and 2018, with the purpose to find grants, state grants, and other organizations that can fund arts and education programs for our schools. So I really I'm very interested in that we continue to include the arts in our school system. I hope that since I left, this has been just the beginning to this inclusion, because it's really important that people have that in our education. And as well, I'm running for city council, because I think that city council needs a creative leader with creative solutions for very difficult programs. So I hope I can get your support. Thank you.
Now, candidate number 5.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Russell Stewart. I am very, very, very proud to be here. As the husband of my wife, Lisa, here in the front row, who is a graduate of this school as well, and as the father to Arabelle, who's also sitting in the front row, future graduate of Beverly Hills High, the future of this city is crucial, and you guys are that future. And that's why I'm running for city council. We have safety problems, we have bullying problems, we have drug problems, we have social pressure problems that need to be addressed so you guys can move from students into leadership and be sitting here one day. I'm passionate about this city. I've been in the protective services space for half of my life. I'm the only person here who's ever served in uniform, so I know exactly what it means to put service before self. I care about you guys. I care about my own family. You guys are our family. So we need to bring policies and initiatives that keep you guys safe. I had one parent who came to one of my speaking engagements and said that she's afraid to even bring her kids onto South Beverly because of the dangers. We don't want that. We want to have safe streets. We want to have safe school environments for you to grow up in and to learn in, and not to be worried about bullying, which I've heard is getting pretty bad. Your mental health means everything to me. I want to have a greater collaboration between students and city council. We need more understanding of what's happening to you guys, and I hope that we can have that during this conversation here. So I'm looking forward to the questions, and thank you so much again.
Now, candidate number 6, and before candidate 6 speaks, just a quick reminder for all candidates who already spoke to turn off your microphones. Thank you. Now you may begin.
Thank you. Before I start, I want to thank BHEF and our students for holding this forum. My name is Nushin Meshkati, and I'm honored to stand here as your candidate for the Beverly Hills City Council. With deep roots in our community, and as proud graduate of Beverly Hills High School, I have graduated from the Beverly Hills High School, I intimately understand our community's heartbeat and our family's aspirations. My journey in public service began when my eldest child, eldest child's first day at El Rodeo, from leading the PTA to serving as Board of Education President and Chair of various city commissions. I've dedicated myself to our community while balancing a thriving engineering career at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and raising my 3 children, all of whom graduated from this high school. If elected, I pledge to uphold inclusivity, transparency, and accountability. Every resident of Beverly Hills deserves to have their voices heard and their concerns addressed. I am committed to open communication and responsive to ensure everyone is informed and empowered. I will create solutions and opportunities for young families to reside in our city, grow their businesses, work, shop, dine, even buy their first vehicle or home in Beverly Hills, thus supporting our local economy and tax revenue within our city. Our community has voiced concerns about transparency and major projects, safety and security, especially with opening of the upcoming metro. I will champion comprehensive communication strategies that keep you informed from start to finish. I advocate for the voices of our community, the community's candidate. Together, let's build a Beverly Hills where every student thrives, every family prospers, and every voice matters. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Now, candidate 7.
Hi. So thank you for having me here tonight. This is very interesting to be back in a school environment. I've actually taught at 2 universities. I'm Robin Rowe. When I came in tonight, I came into the second floor and wasn't quite sure where this hall was, even though I've been here before. And so one of the students, very kindly said, "Well, I'll escort you. I'll show you the way to the hallway." And I said, "Well, are you in the engineering group?" Because I was standing next to the engineering department. And he said, "Well, yeah, I'm in robotics." I said, "Well, that's a coincidence. So am I." I built a robotic minesweeper for the Navy. I actually sailed on an aircraft carrier. And so we had a nice conversation coming here. But to come to the point about why I'm here tonight, first off, we're going to be talking about the police tonight. Chief Steinbrook and I agree that the police are fully staffed now, that crime rates are falling. All the other candidates want to hire more police. A police officer costs $250,000 a year, $400,000 a year for a sergeant, and they have no plan how to pay for it. So that means that it's going to come in cuts in recreation and parks or other areas that maybe people aren't happy about and haven't been told what's coming there. As far as education goes, the Beverly Hills changed drastically in 2010 as a result of canceling of the city council revoking the diversity program, which had put that allowed students from outside the district to fill empty seats in Beverly Hills classrooms, and at that time made the Beverly Hills High School considered one of the best schools in the world. It's fallen from number 1 to, it now ranks 1,518th. I don't think that's a great achievement by the school board, and there are a lot of other issues as well here. So maybe we can get into that later. Thank you.
Now, candidate number 8.
I'm Tiffany Davis. I'm so happy to be speaking with you, some of our youngest residents. Whether you are old enough to vote in this election or not, you are residents. City Council represents you, and it would be my honor to represent you as a council member. Some of you may know me from my involvement with the Career Technical Education Advisory Board, which helps students advance their careers through real-world partnerships. This is a passion of mine because I have been a mentor of students and young professionals of all ages since I started working professionally over 20 years ago. Some of you have heard me speak at Career Day the past few years. It's always one of my favorite days. I received my master's degree in education and taught in the classroom for 2 years prior to moving to California. So education, schools, and families are at my core. For the past 20 years, I've been a professional entertainment event producer with clients such as Super Bowl, Formula One, large festivals, and top musical artists. Many of you likely know me as the organizer of the Next Night Street Festival on South Beverly Drive on behalf of Next Beverly Hills, of which I was the former chair. I'm especially proud of that event because it brings together 5,000 residents and it showcases the schools, PTAs, and students, along with city partners, for the ultimate community gathering. I have a real concern for the future of Beverly Hills as it pertains to families and our younger residents. I have solid ideas for enhancements that I'd like to make to the city to provide much more for our teens and young families, from resident-only parks and entertainment centers to beautifying our neighborhoods and offering more upgraded housing amenities so we attract the next generation of residents, hopefully enticing you to move back one day. I have a very common sense approach to the issues facing Beverly Hills, from putting more security on foot to stronger enforcement of ordinances, especially when dealing with the unhoused. And I have the experience to really capitalize on the opportunities we have with the World Cup, Super Bowl, and Olympics coming to town. I have the expertise to prepare for the influx of visitors, traffic, and potential crime, and also the influx of tourism dollars. I look forward to building a stronger partnership between schools and city-sponsored initiatives to build a stronger Beverly Hills. I'm a business owner and home renter with the energy to lead us into the future. Thank you.
Now to candidate number 9.
My name is Hamid Omrani. I have...
You need to turn on your microphone. Just push the button.
Both of them graduate from Hawthorne and Beverly High School. And I have a chance to have a son-in-law graduate from Beverly High School too. Now, I live here and work in Beverly Hills for 4 years and study regarding all the problem in Beverly Hills. I believe that number one problem in Beverly Hills is that the age of the resident is average 10 years older than LA. Why? Because the condition is in a situation that all the young generation they are living. My question is, why are you leaving Beverly Hills? Various reasons. First of all, I am confused why we have Santa Monica College, but we have not Beverly Hills College. Why? Here in Beverly Hills, if we have a college, Beverly Hills College, we have the best celebrity, especially in art, if we have it. And then there is a lot of chance for the people that graduate for Beverly Hills and they study there. Secondly, one of the reasons that everyone leaves the Beverly Hills after high school, they want to have a life without parents, to be independent. But because the rent of Beverly Hills is so high, they will leave. One of the solutions that I have, that a part of the housing element, that I believe that city has to build a complex of the residential, and for 5 years after graduations from Beverly Hills High School, they can have it in a lower price of the residential, so they will stay in Beverly Hills. This is my goal for future of the graduate of Beverly Hills. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your opening statements. Now we will move on to the first question, starting with Craig Corman. Multiple students have been burdened with parking tickets in the areas surrounding the high school. How would you alleviate this problem and help make parking more accessible for community members?
So the parking has been a problem at the high school since I was here, because we know there's not enough parking for all the students. I think that we need to consider some kind of a permit program during the day, something that can have where students can have permits during the day, but they wouldn't be operative at night when residents are back home. That's what we can look at. But you know, as I said, this has been an intractable problem for over 50 years, and I can't say I have any magic bullet to solve it overnight. That's the best thing I can think of. Obviously, carpooling would be great to the extent that we can do that. Well, the metro, unfortunately, is going to be too hard to get from Central City to here, I think, you know, in a timely fashion. So the metro may not be as much of a help as we'd like. But I do think that we need to look at any potential, you know, options we have. As I said, it's a problem that's been here for forever, and we just don't have enough parking spaces for all the students who want to drive to school. I know we always encourage carpooling, and I know that's not realistic that people can always carpool. But I think a local permit, which is a split day permit, might help alleviate some of the issues on some of the streets. Thank you. Can I just add one thing, please?
Yes,
As you know, unfortunately, I really wanted to be here and answer all the questions that you have, and I know they're going to be great questions. Unfortunately, I have a pre-existing event that was already scheduled for this evening, and I'm going to have to leave in just a couple of minutes, unfortunately. But I greatly admire what you're doing here. I did it when I was here. I think you're going to find it a lot of fun. It's going to be, when you look back on this, you're going to look back on these events fondly. And I wish you well, and as you go forward.
Okay, thank you so much for attending. Next candidate.
Well, first of all, from a parking standpoint, parking and traffic is an issue here and all of our neighborhoods, quite frankly, and especially around the schools. So this is an issue that we're addressing at all of our schools, but in particular here because our students are driving. So the good news is, on the horizon, since we've changed our construction program, we now have plans to build a parking lot at the high school. So in 2027, we will have a parking lot, so we'll have more parking available to our students. And so that can help to alleviate part of that problem. In the interim, I would suggest that we do work with the city to try and relax some of these parking restrictions so that the students have an opportunity to park in the neighborhood, and also we'd have to work with our neighbors as well to do that. And another note, we are looking at our district office and developing the district office. So at a certain point in time, probably even before that parking lot is finished at the high school, the district office may become a place where we can use parking in the interim, because we'll probably move the district office before that time. So there's some options to alleviate in the future, and in the immediate, I think we'd have to look at relaxing some of the parking restrictions.
Okay, thank you so much. Next candidate.
I thought you said we were going to be asked different questions.
No, we were all going to be asked the same question.
Okay, I misunderstood.
All good.
Well, I think some of the ideas that were mentioned were good ones. I think we also need to encourage our students as much as possible to walk or bike to school. I know sometimes that's hard. When my kids were here, they did not have cars that they could drive initially, but my son was on the golf team, and he wasn't going to be walking from home with his golf bag and then over to Rancho Park to golf. So we had to look at something else. But we did encourage carpooling, and I'm glad to hear that the high school is putting in some parking here. And I think one of the problems is with the construction that has been going on for quite some time, parking that was available before for students has not been available for some time and won't be either. And I do think there is an opportunity to take a look at some permit parking, but the neighbors already have parking issues. So I'm not sure that that would solve the problem, but it could certainly be looked at. The Climate Action Plan Committee, which I served on, looked at adding a tram, sort of a trolley, that would go from the metro, which isn't going to be done for another couple of years, from La Cienega, but would have gone all the way to the high school and back. And when the city reviewed it, they didn't want it to have that large of a field, and they cut it down to half so it wouldn't come to the high school. And that is something I think that we should look at again, that might help get some of our students that are on the east side of town here, even without the metro, because I think having more cars is not necessarily the best thing for our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next candidate, whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you. So I think, like, as a parent, when I was driving up my kids to school, you have to consider that it's probably the last year of the high school when children or the kids are starting to drive. But before, well, mainly the parents are the ones who drive, and some of them, they do carpool, and I encourage to do more of the carpool with the parents of different kids that are around the neighborhood. So that way we can, save in gas emissions, but we can also don't have that problem of the parking. But on the other hand, I think that the same way that commissioners have like a special sticker to park in special areas, I think we can work with the city to have a special special sticker that we can put in the cars for the students who are in the last year. And for certain hours, for the hours that they are assisting in school. So that way they can park around the schools and they don't have the problem of where they can park. So I think that's the solution for me.
Thank you so much. Next candidate.
Excuse me. Not to sound repetitive like everybody else, but obviously you want to look at solutions like carpooling, bicycles, and such of that nature. But still, in the end, I think the immediate solution, and just to alleviate, any financial burden, is we need to have a city permit. We need to excuse any tickets that are given out now. And I'd even look into refunding people if they haven't given a ticket lately. We don't want to discourage people from coming to school. Some people have to drive to school. And right now, yes, there's parking lots coming and there's other solutions. But for those that need to come, we need to have a city permit. It needs to be free. It needs to be immediate. And it needs to not have any burden on the student. Because right now, yes, parking is a mess everywhere. But anything that discourages someone from coming to school or putting a financial burden on anyone coming to school is an absolute no-go. So we need a permit immediately for you to park for free and never be punished for it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So there are many ideas that we can look at. Fortunately, we live in a affluent community that students can afford having their own car and driving. But we have to look at the future and how we're going to look at the sustainability of environment and looking into solutions that are not only friendly for our community, but also friendly for our environment. So there are multiple solutions that I would look at. First thing is, working at JPL, we do have a program for carpool. And the way it works, we match up residents that are close together. We can do the same thing here. match up our residents that are close to each other. So students, I know that even with a permit, you could drive your fellow students to school and back home. You can't go anywhere else, but carpooling with students is possible. So we can do that, matching up so that we can have carpool team so that you can drive from your home to school. Or even looking at the EV shuttles. So that at, again, JPL where I work, the La Cañada environment, they have a shuttle that goes, the main street there is called Foothill. So there's a shuttle that goes back and forth in different hours. And at the time of start of school and end of school, you see these shuttles are filled with students. So they take it. It's fun because when the students do it together, it becomes fun. And as I said before, being environmentally friendly, encouraging students to take other means of transportation, such as biking. Hopefully we can move towards doing more. But even if you don't want to bike, the ride share is one of the best solutions we can come up. But the main thing is to find
I'm sorry,
parking.
but your time is up. Thank you so much for your response. Okay. Next candidate.
Okay, so I worked for one of the big 3 transportation management companies in the country. I actually wrote software for the traffic lights on Little Santa Monica. So I have a very different perspective maybe than someone that hasn't worked in traffic before. I guess the first question is, why do we have a traffic problem here? It's not like anything that's happened here is a surprise. This isn't a new high school. As the candidate who had to leave pointed out earlier, traffic was bad when he was in school here, decades ago. The issue with parking is that if you add parking, you get more traffic. It doesn't actually alleviate it. And the idea of adding permits to non-existing parking places, I find that a little ridiculous. I don't think there's enough parking that if you gave everyone a permit for free, that you could actually park them. You'd just be circling the block. So as a more practical solution, I'm a software engineer and engineering manager by trade. I would build an app. I would say, okay, let's have a parking app that says for the people that do have permits, this is your parking place, this is when you're here, and that you're not driving around the block just searching, hoping that you have a parking place, even though you've got a sticker saying you can park. Then with public transportation, I'm the candidate who said, let's build the Skyway. That is a bunch of towers with guy wires and gondolas. If you've been to a nice ski resort, you know what these things look like. That can move 2,000 people an hour and doesn't require any parking. So I think the solution is to not create another bus line, which is just going to be clogged up in our traffic. The reason we haven't solved traffic is we keep doing things that increase traffic instead of decreasing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next candidate, whenever you're ready.
Hi. I like to look at things as what can we do immediately and then what can we do long term. So I think we've heard from previous candidates on some long-term solutions coming. Immediately, the city has invested a lot in license plate reader technology, and I think that if every student who drives, who is a student here, made sure their license plate was registered, first of all, we can utilize that technology that already exists. So I would say we grant that freedom of parking wherever they need to park between certain hours, and their license plate is their permit. It's already done. To incentivize students to make sure they follow those rules, though, so that we don't have angry residents, I think we come up with some sort of incentives, that the students come up with that make sense for them. And if you are, using your license plate reader technology, you're parking safely and legally, and you're parking within those hours only, you should be rewarded for that. There should be an incentive there to do that. I also think we should have an incentive for carpooling, because I do believe in that. And again, all these things could lead to, something that they want, that the students want. You guys would have to determine what that is. But I definitely think we should utilize the license plate reader technology that we already have in the city.
Thank you so much. Next candidate.
I have another idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you turn on your microphone? Thank you.
I have another idea. Instead of that, to spend a lot of money for parking structure, still, especially parents, they have to spend a lot of time and other headache for car. one of the easiest and the best idea that I work on that 20 years is between Santa Monica Boulevard and Little Santa Monica. We have a 60 feet of line that it belongs to the suspended railroad, and right now we have parking structure by City of Beverly Hills. If we cover that parking structure and we can continue all the way from Doheny to Beverly Hills High School, so it is enough, a continuously line that anyone from any location that they live in, north of Santa Monica, south of Santa Monica, they can walk through that boulevard, and then is 1 mile. And then we can have it there, bicycle, trolley, or any other thing that is option. So any student without any car and safe, and they have a great time when they are walking there from Doheny all the way to Beverly Hills High School or back, it is a great space that they can walk friendly, talk to each other. Instead of half an hour to be only with the parents, they have a time, half an hour, 1 hour from their house to the Beverly Hills High School and come back. And it changed the character of all the students to be together, minimum 1 hour, half an hour together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for answering question 1. We are now proceeding to question 2. Here's the question. During COVID, many small businesses left Beverly Hills. How will you, as a city council member, incentivize small businesses to invest in Beverly Hills again? Starting with candidate number 2.
Thank you. Well, first of all, small businesses are really an essential part of our community in Beverly Hills. They really contribute to what makes the character of our city. So they're very important to us in many ways. I think of our small businesses, they're very personal and they feel like family. Secondly, I would say that small businesses contribute to our general fund. So they're contributing sales tax and they're contributing business revenue tax to the city of Beverly Hills. And if you think about it, our small and large businesses really contribute about a third of about 31% of our general fund budget. So they're important to us in that way as well. The way that I would attract businesses back to Beverly Hills or new businesses to come into Beverly Hills is it really about taking an approach of being a partner with the small businesses and truly addressing the belief that it's very difficult to do business in Beverly Hills and helping to alleviate that for our small businesses. The first thing would be about really trying to maneuver around the red tape and helping them be able to obtain permits as well as getting inspections and making that much easier and faster. And secondly, one of the things that I hear often from small businesses is that once they're set up and they're doing business in Beverly Hills, they feel a little bit lost and kind of out there. And there's not a lot of communication for them. It's not easy for them to navigate the communication in City Hall. So I would want to try and have an advocate at City Hall that really could be that point person for small businesses. When they have issues and they're not sure how to address it, they can reach out to that person who can help them navigate what are the different levels and where should they start to address those issues. In many ways at the schools, we've started that. And we've.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Now candidate number 3.
These don't seem to like me yet. Oh, here we go. I'm going to share with Sharon again.
I think you're on.
I don't think so. I would also make it easier for new businesses to come into the city. One of the reasons that we have such trouble attracting new businesses is because the cost to open up a business here, just getting in the door because of the expense of how costly it is per square foot for any kind of business in the Triangle area to open up. So I think the city does need to incentivize bringing in new people and helping them by making the cost of permits and fees less when they first come in so they can open up and get going. We also need to incentivize the owners of the buildings to be a little more generous perhaps in letting new companies come in and get a start. Because at the current time there are so many extra empty storefronts, particularly on Cannon and some of the other streets. You see a resurgence on Beverly Drive, which is in part, I'm told, because of Erewhon and how amazing Erewhon is. And that's a city-owned building, and that created an anchor so that there was vibrancy on the street. There are other city-owned properties in the city, for instance, where Wolfgang's used to be on Cannon, where upstairs where Bouchon was, where Rite Aid was on Bedford. And at the moment, those properties are all sitting empty. So I would want to evaluate why those properties are empty, because they become anchors to bring in other businesses. When there's vibrancy and people around, they want to be there and they want to come in. And some of the businesses that are already a little more, may have places in other parts of the city, have the ability to come into Beverly Hills, and we need to reach out to them. We need to not just look at the Rodeo Drive committee, which is wonderful, but as I'm talking to
Your
residents,
time has elapsed.
we should talk to them too on the other streets.
Next candidate.
Thank you. So when I was in the Architecture Commission, one of our responsibilities was to beautify and the design of all the retail stores that are in the city. And we observed that after the pandemic, the behavior of the people was getting more into buying things online than to actually come to the retail stores and interact with the stores. So because for that reason, it was really important that we look into designs that engage the people with the retail stores. It didn't matter if it was a big retail store or if it was a small one, but it is really important that we continue to have that engagement, kind of like an experiential design or an experiential thing that you can go into the store and see what the different things that they have. So that way you can create that engagement between the customer and the retail stores. And that is, I think, number one, very important. The second thing is that I think it's very important to bring to our city excitement business that attract people, that attract young people as well, no? But businesses also that they're affordable to all, because there are businesses that are more luxurious, like on fashion or jewelry or purses, while there are other businesses that are necessary, like for instance for our young students, like they wanted to go for lunch while they have 2 hours free for while they're in schools or something like that. And we need to really bring those kinds of business that are more affordable and that teenagers like. And also to, at the same time, well, all these businesses that create the revenue for our city. And definitely, I think we need to create some kind of incentives that allow the retail stores to be able to build easier or to be able to stay in town, because if you don't have a very strong business, it's really hard that you can stay in renting the place. So we really need to find incentives in the city, like reduction of taxes.
Your
or
time has
break.
expired. Thank you. Next candidate.
I agree with all of my colleagues. I think these are all incredibly intelligent ideas. I'm going to take it a step further. I had a business owner on Cannon call me last week and say that more than likely she's going to close because her customers feel unsafe because she's a jeweler. I think to reassure small businesses, I am a small business owner. I'm in one of the most regulated businesses in this city, so I understand the complexities of the permitting, the time it takes, the money it takes. But if you don't have safe streets, you won't have small businesses that want to move in here. I've met with parents who say they will not have their kids go onto South Beverly or onto Cannon or even onto Wilshire. And when you have that sentiment because of public safety issues, you're not going to be able to have small businesses want to come here. We can give them incentives, and I think that you need to. You can give them tax breaks. You can give them breaks off of leases if they move into a city-owned building. But when the subway's coming, and we all know it's coming after that, and with major world events and with new properties that are being built and an influx of people, crime is going to go up. And focusing on public safety and reassuring small business that public safety is our number one priority for them and the patrons of those businesses, that's going to be a big incentive to bring small business back to Beverly Hills.
Candidate 6.
Thank you. Yes, how do we bring businesses to our city and retain them? As it was mentioned, yes, cutting red tape is one of the main things that we have to do. Allowing people come, rent a place, then try to get a permit. They may have to wait 2 months. Small business cannot afford having 2 months, 3 months waiting for their permit to be obtained. So we need to make sure we streamline the process, automate the process. We're in the age of technology. We gotta make sure as much as possible we automate the process. People can initiate the process, go through the system. They don't need to make an appointment to come and see a person, to be at the mercy of an appointment to come back and obtain a permit. There's certain processes that they can be streamlined. So streamlining process and using technology is one of the things. And again, our city does have a lot of properties. And if we want to attract good small business, that the name matches our name, that they can thrive using our name, and we can thrive having the business here because it makes us a destination, makes it attractive for other people to come and visit. We do need to get into a partnership. We do need to come up with a way that maybe we give them some startup and then be able to profit share. Something with the city that can become their partner, so we can attract good small businesses so that they can choose our city to come. And what do we do to retain them? We got to make sure we provide all opportunities possible. We have some small businesses that are hidden in some areas. We have open space. Maybe we can give them some portable carts or something that they can be in public to advertise for themselves, so the community knows about their existence, so they won't be forgotten. There are many things that we can do. We can always, I know how to look in the future and come up with solutions.
Next candidate.
So I'm amazed to hear so many bureaucrats who are eager to cut red tape. I don't know what they're going to do after they cut all this red tape that were created by bureaucrats, but it sounds great. The other problem is everything that's been suggested costs money that the city doesn't have. So, that could be a little bit of a problem. But the big issue with business in Beverly Hills is that our present city council has boasted that they make it impossible for businesses to come here because they want to extract the maximum amount of money from getting a zoning variance. Our zoning laws have been deliberately constructed to be red tape and bureaucratic because this is a good way to extract the most out of a business that moves here. They don't know what it's going to cost. And dragging the process out also makes people more willing to negotiate and pay more to be here. But of course, it doesn't work in the long run because businesses become wise to this and they don't want to come here anymore. So, when people are saying, well, we're going to cut the red tape and all this stuff, before COVID, there were storefronts that had been empty here for 8 years, and it's gotten worse since COVID. So the people that are saying that they just discovered this problem and they're going to put a committee right on it and they're going to listen to your concerns, I don't know where they were for the last decade. This is not a new problem, and to change it, we'll have to change fundamentally the way that Beverly Hills City Council does business. Thank you. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. I have to comment on the license plate reader idea because that technology does not exist. The license plate readers in this town are to catch you coming in and out of the town. To be able to have a license plate reader on every block, that is just an amazing suggestion. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Hi. Well, I am a business owner, so I know exactly how expensive it is to do business in California. I don't have a storefront and frankly could not afford a storefront in Beverly Hills. I have actually spoken to every business on the ground level on South Beverly Drive multiple times as I walk the block multiple times a year in preparation of next night. I have heard from those business owners multiple times about their concerns. So let's start with the first concern, that they have trouble getting in and getting established. They need help. They get frustrated. We do have someone in City Hall whose job is to be their concierge. And it's not that I don't think she's doing a good job. I think that perhaps we need more than one person, but we do need that white glove service. That's what Beverly Hills is about. And I think we need that to help them maneuver and not send them to different departments. And to Nushin's point, make an appointment. It's one person, and that person guides you through the whole process until you're up and running. Then, once you are up and running, I think we need to have a comprehensive marketing plan for the entire city. I don't know how often any of you get marketed to by the city or the chamber about new businesses or what's going on at businesses, but my guess is it's very unlikely you don't. I think we sometimes market to ourselves, a small group. We need a comprehensive marketing plan to make sure all of you know about what's going on in the businesses, any sort of incentive, what's new, and remind you of businesses that have been there for a while. They need help too. So I think we need to put our arms around our businesses. I also think we need to get the stakeholders all at the table, and we need to talk about rents and stop hiking up rents every time it comes up for renewal, because a lot of businesses leave when their rent is up, or their lease is up, because it gets hiked up and they just can't afford it. So it's a tiered process, but it really starts with city council, and we need to enforce that.
Next candidate.
City of Beverly Hills after 6 o'clock in the afternoon is totally dead. This is number one. Secondly, when we are in Beverly Hills, many people, they said that Rodeo Drive. It is only 3 blocks. So we have to have something different, change the character of the city by better landscape, better architecture. In addition, many additional space that bring a special entertainment. For example, top of parking structure, we have many all around the city, perhaps 6 or 8 parking structure. We can have top of that entertainment like theater and a few other function. So this solution will change totally the character of Beverly Hills, and then we will have more crowd. Look at the majority of the shopping center or mall, all of them bankrupt. And if you compare with 2 of them, Century City Mall and Grove, you see the difference. They spend more than $1 billion in Century City Mall. Still, there is nothing. But look at the Grove with the minimum cost, a small space, how great it is. Everyone wants to be there. So, number one, I believe, changing of character of Beverly Hills with a new design, with landscape, with entertainment and other solution that we can find for entertainment in Beverly Hills.
Thank you. Now we are moving on to question number 3.
Hello, my name is Sophia Lifson, and I'm a member of Club Interact, as well as the student board member of the BHUSD Board of Education. As every candidate has answered question number 2, we'll move on to question number 3. Here's a question. Upon completion of the metro stations, how will you ensure that crime does not increase exponentially?
It's a very serious consideration that we have to take into account. Is this still not working?
Louis.
Okay. I'll answer again. It is a serious concern, and there are a couple things that we have to do. Number one, we have to work with Metro and our neighboring cities so that it doesn't just end up here when people are having issues on the Metro when they come off. And I think that kind of regional interaction is very important, not only for the Metro, but in general, and how we interact with the city. The police department is talking about having a substation at the La Cienega exit, so that there's actually a police presence there, and also there would be one at the Rodeo exit. But I think we also have to think about what it's like when someone comes out of the Metro. And we have an opportunity in many respects because of the housing element, which is asking us to build more affordable housing, looking at La Cienega and having more mixed-use housing there and businesses, so that when people come out of the Metro, it's vibrant and exciting and people around. And that is certainly something that helps lower crime. So I don't think it's just about adding more police, but it's also working with the unhoused community so that they're getting help, and we have outreach to them with both the police force and social workers, because we don't want to stigmatize anybody who comes out and looks homeless. We want to help them, because that is an area of concern. And I think there are a variety of different issues that we can look at, and we need to work together with our police department now to discuss what the various options are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I definitely think that it's very important that we have public safety awareness around the metro stations, with the substation, and around the area of the metro. It is important to create wayfinding systems inside the metro station that direct people to the places that we want people to go. And also drop-off areas. Also, we thought about creating an art district in that area with restaurants and galleries and different stores, that people have an area where they can hang up while they're waiting for other people that are coming out from the metro, or that they're waiting to get picked up, or just to make it more exciting, the area, no? But it's definitely the security thing that is going to bring us a lot of new people to the city, and this is why it's so important that we also have police officers that we can see, not just the camera and the technology, that's in addition to, but it's important to have around the police officers and around the schools.
Thank you.
Mary, did you go? No. I'm going to defer to Mary since it's her birthday.
But
Yeah. So it's gonna go like a waterfall style where
Got it.
it'll start. Yeah. So she'll go at the end.
I was just trying to be nice.
Appreciate it.
How to keep the city safe when the subway comes? Well, first of all, talk to your parents and make sure George Gascon gets voted out of office. That's number one, because we need the bad guys to stay in jail, and unfortunately, he's got a lot of support, and we need your parents to vote George Gascon out. You could literally point at the sheet and pick anyone, and he'll be better than George Gascon. Unfortunately, if you talk to any Santa Monica police officer, they will say exactly the same thing. The subway brought all the problems. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. All of these ideas are fantastic. It's just, the fact is, we have a massive crime problem regionally, but we are the shining star on the hill. Everybody wants to come here. So once the subway's open, you do need extra enforcement. It just is what it is. We need more security. We need more cameras. We need more police. That's all a fact. And we need it right at the subway. And we need it on our major thoroughfares, like on Wilshire, in the Triangle, on South Beverly, because I promise you, it's just math. When the subway opens, the problems will come. So we need to invest more in enforcement. Some of us toured the Real Time Watch Center this morning, and we were told by Chief Stainbrook that they're have already budgeting, or he's asking for an increase of 10 officers for next year. But that's it. You need enforcement, and we need a county government that is focused on enforcing, and hopefully Mr. George Gascon will be unemployed in 6 months.
Thank you.
I agree on that. Gascon needs to be changed so that at least we can keep the criminals behind the bars. But the fact is, what do we do to make sure that around metro station and the radius around the metro station is kept safe? As I've mentioned, technology is one of the solutions. We do have police officers. Having a police unit at the stations is important to make sure that we have presence, foot presence in the area. But we do need to make sure not only within our city, we do have technology enhancement of all the surrounding areas that people will get on. And we need to make sure we know who's getting on and who's getting off. And we can do that with artificial intelligence and technology available today. We need to make sure we enhance our technology within the city and work with our neighboring law enforcement to make sure that we do keep our city as safe as possible. What we need to do is having smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone. Our city can literally be programmed in an app so that if there is a crime, they can press a button and report it. If they need a ride, they can easily find it. They need a parking, they can easily find it. What we need to do is we need to develop an enhanced app that will allow us to be able to take not only a virtual tour to find out, do a wayfinding to know where everything is, be able to access our first responders as soon as possible, even faster than dialing 911 if it's needed. So it's just a matter of how we will enhance technology within our government body to make sure that we keep our residents as safe as possible.
So, no matter how many times they fail to recall him, the Republicans never tire of bashing Gascon. So, it's really interesting that our Democrat DA gets blamed for prison overcrowding, which is something that he really has nothing to do with. The Supreme Court of California has declared that prison overcrowding must stop. It's the law. And so when people say they want to replace our DA, they're basically saying they want someone who will not abide by the Supreme Court of California, who will be an awful DA, because we should not have a DA whose campaign promise is to break the law. So as far as crime is concerned, Chief Steinbrecht told me last week that he's got it under control for the Metro, that the police department has done extensive studies. It's unclear. It depends on how well security is implemented. In some cases, opening a Metro has caused a significant spike in crime. In other cases, it hasn't been a problem. So the candidate who's saying that he runs a security company and knows that it will be a problem maybe has a little bit of a conflict of interest, since his company provides the security that he's promoting that we all buy. The issue with the Metro there's an issue with the Metro and the Beverly Hills School Board, that the school board diverted $16 million in school building repair funds to fight a series of nuisance lawsuits against the Metro to try to block it from being constructed. So the Beverly Hills School Board is extremely hostile to the Metro and should not be put in charge of their security. That's crazy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe in deterrence and enforcement. The first deterrent is when you step off the Metro, it's made very clear to you that you're under surveillance in whatever way we feel is appropriate, but it needs to be clear. I think that will give pause, perhaps, hopefully, to someone who's coming here to commit a crime. Maybe they'll get back on and go to another stop. But that's the first thing. I do think a police presence and a security presence, because I think there's no substitute for seeing bodies in uniform. And I also think very clear wayfinding, whether it's through an app, which I think is a great idea, or literal signage, and even a concierge at each stop when you come up to help our visitors, figure out where they want to go, where they are trying to go. So I think we can do it in a friendly way, but then I think we watch carefully. And I do think we have a little bit of an enforcement issue in the city. We're a little light on it, and I've spoken to BHPD about that. I think we are trying to maintain a very friendly tourist, welcoming, appearance. And with that, we have maybe gone a little lax in certain ways, and I think we need to maybe bring that back in a little bit, especially with the Metro coming. There's really no room for error, I guess is what I'm saying. We can't be overly kind to the point where we sacrifice the safety of our residents and businesses. I think there's a really happy medium there, and I think we can do it right, but I think it needs careful thought and careful planning and a true comprehensive Metro plan for how to deal with the Metro differently than perhaps other parts of the city.
Thank you.
Everyone talks about police and presence of police. It's clear. But especially in many cases that the crime happen and everyone knows that they can come to Beverly, especially in Rodeo Drive or other area, and they can do whatever they like and leave it immediately without any control of exit. One of the best way that they know that they cannot leave Beverly Hills if any crime happen, so we have the control of the exit of the city. It means that we have a chance when there is any crime or any problem, first of all, we can close the entry to the metro station from one side. And then addition to that, so all around city, we need to have some part of the gated area that is possible to control anyone has done crime and leaving the Beverly Hills. It's a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, we know that the metro station at the stop at La Cienega is going to open in 2025, and then it'll be another year after that where the station that's at Reeves Drive will be opening. So that's coming very quickly. It's actually later than we thought, but it's still coming very quickly, and we need to have a plan. And I'm very much going to advocate for a dedicated metro unit. I think having a metro station is great, but more important to me is that we have dedicated police officers and a unit that is actually focused on all of the issues that may come up around metro when it opens, starting in 2025 at La Cienega, and what we see from that, how it's going to open at Reeves. I think that the issues are, planning in advance of it opening, and then once it's opening, how are we going to mitigate those risk issues? I think we have to work regionally with our partners. We need to work with Metro and have a plan with Metro in terms of how we're addressing those issues. We need to make certain that people, when they come to Beverly Hills, know that if they commit a crime, they will be caught and that they will have consequences for that. And further, I would say that we need to have a traffic and parking plan for how people, when they get off the trains and how they arrive, how we're moving that traffic around, and really protecting our neighborhoods. The neighborhoods that are adjacent to these areas, we need to have a plan that are protecting those neighborhoods from these risks. So all of those issues I think are very important, and that's what I would want to be addressing right away. And I think a dedicated metro unit is certainly the way to go in terms of accountability and responsibility.
Thank you. The next question is, if elected to City Council, what do you hope to accomplish within your first 3 months in office? We're going to start with candidate number 4.
So what I want to accomplish the first 3 months of office. Well, first, I need to settle down and get used to be city council member. I think it's going to be very important. But definitely, I would like to work in the public safety. That it's a big concern for me. With all the rising of anti-Semitism and a lot of the criminals that have come to our city, I think it's very important that we address that. I also think it's very important that we address our economical sustainability of the city, bringing more businesses. And the third one that is very important for me is the urban infrastructure with the housing elements that needs to be approved. Because if it's not approved, then we're really going to lose a lot of the controls of what are the buildings that are going to be built in the city. And that is really important because we want to be able to control it, and we want to be able to design and to decide what is what we want to have in our city. So those are the 3 things that I will focus.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Well, unfortunately, government moves slow, so there's not much that can happen in 3 months. But from a wish list perspective, I think the housing element is the most important part right off the bat. We have a lot of rogue projects that are coming into City Hall right now, and we need to put a stop to it because we need to keep those controls over those projects. But public safety, again, it's not just about the subway. We have the elections that are coming up. And for anyone who was here 3.5 years ago, know that we had to board up the entire city on election night. So to really sit down with Chief Stainbrook and the owners of the 2 security companies and come up with an actual actionable plan. Because right now, all I hear from people is that they see the security guards on their phones, or they see 3 or 4 of them all having lunch together. And there needs to be more accountability, and we need to have an action plan. Because right now, I know people love the security, or not everybody, but a lot of people do. But we need to figure out what actually their function is, because we all know that come this fall, we're probably going to see Groundhog's Day from 3.5 years ago. And unfortunately, if it does come, we better have a plan. So that would be my first focus.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Can I ask you to repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. If elected to City Council, what do you hope to accomplish within your first 3 months in office?
Okay, I thought so, because I thought they were responding as for 3 items. So first 3 months, the first thing we have to do, take an inventory of everything that's happening, because although I've been attending and watching the city council and trying to follow, but there are a lot that we don't know that are kept away from public. So finding out what exactly has been going on, issues on hand, what are the backstories so that we know everything. As far as priorities that I have on is safety and security. So, our first responders and what are their needs. And also what we have coming up is the housing element. What are we doing to, take care of those? We have several lawsuits on our hand to find out what exactly is behind those lawsuits and how are they going to come up. And in order to be able to take care of our police and fire, we need to have revenue. What are we doing as far as what are the plans for the future of the city, as far as bringing the new businesses, how are we attracting new businesses that could be shining star for our city to become destination? As I was visiting, talking to Visitor Bureau, we have tourism dropped, not only in our city, tourism has dropped everywhere around our city as well because of the requirement of visa. So it's harder to travel to our city. So the revenue that we were getting from tourism has been reduced. So we need to make our city attractive for other things. Maybe we need to be looking at conferences, become a center for conferences so that either medical conferences, technology conferences can find our city as a place to come to. That way we'll have visitors from other places of US at least come to our city so they can stay in our hotels, dine in our restaurants, and spend money in our city. So the first thing we can do is take an inventory to see where we are and what are the plans, and if we can contribute to those plans, do so.
Thank you. Next candidate.
So I'm Robin Rowe. I'm a little different from the other candidates in that I actually already have plans. I'm not going to go into office and then run a poll, do an inventory, start a committee, and make a plan. If you go to my website, you can find what my plans are. I say what I'm actually going to do. Now, with regards to the first 3 months in office, I'm a little impatient. I want to do things in the first 3 weeks in office. One of those is the housing element that's been mentioned before. Every candidate except me has said mixed use. We're gonna make it work. The state told us before we started that mixed use would never work, and it's been turned down 5 times. But 6 is the charm. We're gonna do it one more time. And the reality is that it has no chance because mixed use can at best give us 20 new units, and the requirement is 3,100. So that plan just doesn't work. I have a plan to actually build residential housing at scale at the 3,100 level. I wanted to mention the Chief Stainbrook told a joke last week that, do you want to know what the difference is between a fire chief and a police chief? Nobody tells the fire chief how to fight fires. So here's the current issue of Beverly Hills Herald. If you go online or pick it up at a newsstand, it actually has what our chief says about the problems that people that are not experts are saying would be their solution. So I would suggest that we refer to the experts that we actually have in making some of these problems better. I do agree that we don't have enough uniformed police officers on foot patrol, but it's not a big problem. Part of the issue is that we hired on a lot of private security when we had fewer police officers as kind of a stopgap measure. And now that they're here, no one wants to get rid of them. And we need to right-size the police department and not just keep increasing it without bound until the city runs out of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Hi. 3 months is not a long time in government, but in the first week, what I would do is a community-wide calendar. I hear from everyone, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. That's easy to fix in week 1. A community-wide calendar that also includes the schools and what you've got going on so that we can all support each other. So it's not just city events or city meetings, it's everything going on in Beverly Hills so everyone can partake as a community. That's week 1. Then I would go to cleaning up the city. I want a complete overhaul, aesthetic overhaul of the city. And there's a lot that can be done immediately. We can power wash things. We can change out awnings with businesses and work with them. There are things that can certainly be done in the first 3 months for that. And then we can have a punch list of things to come after the first 3 months. I think we need to look carefully as a council at the budget. I want to really dig into especially the general fund and see where things are being spent and see where we can trim fat, which will then inform how we can spend money on things like additional police and other things we are wanting in this city. And then, after that, of course, the housing element and safety, those are ongoing and they're immediate at the same time. But one thing I do want to stress is, I think in this general fund, it was mentioned earlier, and it's accurate, that these businesses pay into the fund by sales tax. And I do believe there's a way to create some sort of, not necessarily revenue sharing, I wouldn't say that, but instead a loan opportunity. The city could actually do small business loans if we wanted to at a interest rate, but a fair one, so that businesses could reach out for actual financial help if need be. So that's something we could look at when rebalancing our budget and our general fund.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I will work on a project that will be investment combination of City of Beverly Hills and private developers. And then I go through the solution for the 10,000 new resident. It means that 3,000 units to find a solution. So if city start with the cooperation with the private, build that project that cover that totally in a right location, and then go to use the grant and low interest rate loan, so it's possible to build it. And because 1/3 of that goes through the affordable housing, use this affordable housing for seniors, for the single parents, and graduates from Beverly Hills School, for example, that they can enjoy of that situation. And I believe that that one, city will be under control, because more than 10,000 new residents, there is not any income, but the whole cost of the city will increase 30%. So we can make more money from the investment of that towers for these 10,000 people.
Next candidate.
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Myra Demeter, and I just finished 6 hours of the Beverly Hills Planning Commission meeting. You can all watch it. And I did leave after making final remarks, although we were not taking a vote on the last item. So I have to explain why I'm coming in late. I feel a great obligation to do my duty by serving as a planning commissioner, which is a very important job. Coming in on this question, I have a different view, and I'm going to explain. My concern, which can be taken care of very quickly, is going to be the opening of the 2 subway stations. It is a concern because there's documented crime and drug use, and as other end-of-the-line stations, as we will be for several years, the people who are riding the trains all day will be swept off at the end-of-the-line stations. 150 to 500 people will be put out into our community at night. That's what happens in Long Beach, that's what happens in North Hollywood, and that's what happens in Santa Monica. How can we deal with it? Well, in order to get some ideas, I've been talking to federal law enforcement. I have people there that I know, and they have said it's not more resources, it's collaboration. It's how you work together to address this. Now, what are we talking about? A ridership committee. A committee that is going to advise City Council in terms of I wasn't aware that there's a time since I walked in and I didn't know that. So please give me the courtesy to let me finish 2 items that I'd like to say. A ridership committee made up of social workers, police, residents, and businesses. And we can get that started immediately. The second thing I'd like to do is restore the 3-minute public comment in City Council, which is no longer the case. It's 90 seconds for non-agenda items, and it is 2 minutes for public comment verbal. Also, your letters to City Council are no longer read.
I'm sorry, you're out of time.
Your letters are no longer read. I have one more line.
I'm sorry,
And
you only get 2 minutes.
Well, I was not told that, ever. So I think you should just let me finish it.
I'm sorry, it's not up to
I'm
you.
sorry. Your letters are not read to City Council. They're dumped together, and I think that we should go back to reading public comment, not thwarting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's 2 minutes, by the way, per question, and there's timekeepers in the front. But moving on to the next candidate.
Yes. What do you hope to do within your first 3 months as city council?
Thank you. Well, my top 3 issues really are to address our public safety, as well as address the housing element, and hoping that we have a certified housing element well on its way by the time I am on city council, if I'm successful. And third is to address fiscal responsibility. And I'm going to go back to the public safety. Because it is only 3 months, I would hope that at that point in time I'd be advocating for more police officers, so that we are hiring more police officers, which would enable us to then expand our neighborhood patrols and to put in a dedicated metro unit, which I think is imperative before the metro opens, so we can focus on those issues. Secondly, regarding the housing element, I know that we're in an open hearing period right now, and that the council will hopefully approve, and they'll submit another housing element for certification, and hopefully that will move forward. But then if you look at the different changes in this housing element, the city is committing to affordable housing and to actually build affordable housing with a nonprofit or another developer to actually commit to, I think, 557 units. So that creates a question that puts even more pressure for us on our budget. So we have different areas of the budget where that can help fund, but we really have to look at where does the money come from, what type of commitment are we making, and looking at how do we fund our police and the other things that we're talking about. So I would hire a city auditor. I'd want to institute zero-based budgeting and look at where our dollars are going to make sure we can be as efficient as possible and prioritize our dollars where we want and need them to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Well, I'm going to go back to the 3 months, because what can one really accomplish in 3 months? We've all talked about what our issues are. But in the first 3 months, what I would do is listen and learn. Every time I've sat on a board or a different organization, I've spent a good deal of time just listening and absorbing, because it is absolutely true that what we hear on the outside is not what we hear on the inside when you have all the information at the table. And having sat on the school board, I know that I have far more resources when I was on the board than the regular public did. So I would take that time to really understand and listen and learn. I would want to know what the immediate risks are that the city is facing and what the more intermediate risks are and how we're addressing those issues. So that's 1 and 2. And the third one is to make sure that we get the housing element passed, because that is, time is of the essence. And we need to make sure that we are having ongoing discussions with the folks at HCD. For years, we did not have that kind of connection where the city knew exactly what they wanted from us and going back and forth. And there was a movement to ask the city to get more involved and to push for those discussions. And I believe it is finally happening, and I am hopeful that we will get the housing element passed so we do not have any more builders' remedies, huge buildings. But I would fight for that and make sure that our consultants are giving us the right information and not the information we were getting in the past. But I think it really is about listening and learning. And lastly, I would do a deep dive into the budget, and not just the general fund, but the whole thing, because anytime I've been in an organization, I've been on the budget committee, because that is what drives policy in many ways. Sometimes policy drives the budget, but constraints in terms of what money you have drives policy. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Oliver Shemtov, and I am the junior class representative of the Interact Club. Now that everyone has answered question 4, we will move on to question 5. Here's the question. What differentiates you from other candidates running for city council? Starting with candidate 5. Mr. Stewart.
Thank you. I think one of the things that sets me apart is, I hate to sound ageist, but I think I am the youngest candidate. I think so. I've been told that. I don't know. So I'm coming from a different perspective. I mean, I have not lived here my whole life. I don't have 50, 60 years here. And I think to some people, they believe that that's a benefit, and I believe that that can also be a hindrance because there's an idea of Beverly Hills that people want to retain as opposed to wanting to look into the future. My concern for this city is what this city is going to look like for my daughter, who's now 6. What's it going to look like in 30, 40 years for her? So for someone who came from a different country, was able to move to Beverly Hills, which was like the highlight of my entire life, and now to be able to have a family here, I come at it from a different perspective than someone that grew up here. So my focus is really about moving the city deeper into the future, still maintaining its small village feel, but not stifling new business that might not be something that is a priority of the other candidates, because it might not be the same kind of feel as they, are used to. So I think that definitely sets me apart.
Thank you very much. Candidate 6.
Thank you. So I think what sets me apart is that I consider myself as a community liaison as I sit on the city council. I will be serving as a governing council member, but at the same time, through all the years that I have served the community, I've stayed connected with our community. I have attended many different events that are held in different parts of the city. So I have listened to the community, I have built trust, and I have built a sense of team working. What makes a teamwork be capable is the beginning, the trust that we need to start. Unfortunately, because of some of the projects going through, the lack of communication has caused the community losing that trust. We need to make sure we use our connection and communication to build that trust back and make sure that we take the city to the next level. My technology experience and also working in the industry all my life gives me the ability to be able to work with anyone, be a team member, and also use the technology to enhance our ability in the city. I have been connected with our police department, with our fire department, with our schools and students. So with that kind of communication and connection, I can take the city using the technology and the connections that we have to the next level. I look forward to working with every community member, hearing their voices and acting on their needs.
Thank you very much. Candidate 7, same question.
So what's different about me? Oh my gosh. I've lived in Beverly Hills for 20 years, which is not a really big difference. But the reason that I came here is I was recruited by the CTO of DreamWorks Animation to work on Shrek the third Shrek movie. I've worked in the visual effects industry and many other places in technology. I'm the current elected chairman of a United Nations task group, so I don't expect to take 3 months to learn on the job. I've had a lot of experience. Whoops, am I fading out? And before that, I was appointed as a subcommittee chairman under the U.S. Director of Homeland Security. So I feel pretty confident that we can get the security under control here. I actually worked for the Department of Defense on the AI security systems. So I have a much deeper technological insight than other people may have. I'm the only progressive candidate. I don't know if the other candidates would agree with me, but relative to myself, everyone else here is a conservative. Whether they're a conservative Democrat or a true Republican, the people that I am campaigning against are really concerned about maintaining the status quo. If you listen to their plans, they have they're basically saying the same things that everyone who ran in the last election said. They're not really going to change anything. So I hope people will take that into account and pick a candidate that is actually for change.
Thank you very much. Candidate 8, next, same question.
Hi. So kind of like Russell, I did not grow up here. I moved here in my 20s, about 20 plus years ago. And then I left for a decade. I was here for almost a decade, and then I left for a decade for a career and came back. I have the perspective of someone who lived here before, went away, missed it, and knew I wanted to get back to spend the rest of my life here. So I do want to bring back some of that charm from 20, 30, 40 years ago, because I am sentimental and I am appreciative of the history of Beverly Hills, and I don't know that we celebrate it quite enough. But I also have the perspective of living in Nashville, Tennessee, which overdeveloped very quickly, and I see the mistakes they made. And then I also lived in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and they don't develop at all, and they are dying on the vine from a financial perspective. So I bring that perspective to council so that we can look at things in a balanced way when it comes to development projects and preserving the past. And then I also, I'm a renter, and I know I'm not the only renter up here, but I'm the only one that seems to speak about it. And with this housing element, I'm not sure that everyone's really fully grasping. If we do not get a housing element passed, then anyone who does not own their home is in jeopardy, technically, because a developer will be able to come in and offer a pretty penny for your building, and it may get bought, and then you may not have that home. So there's a reality here, especially for renters, that we need to consider. And so, of course, that would be a priority for me to get that passed. And also, lastly, I'm a communicator. I always have been. I've been a leader in many ways, over 12 positions just in this community alone in the last 5 years. But I do believe I can bring together this community, which has become divided. And I think I could be, a strong advocate for open communication. What you see is what you get. I'm not a candidate, and then my personal Tiffany, it's just me. You get Tiffany 24 hours a day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate number 9, same question.
According to my background, that I told everyone that I have master's degree in architecture and urban design. I believe that the major problem in the next 5 years will be related to that, because there is a lot of solution right now. Everyone talks about that. It doesn't work at all. For example, zone change, the height of the building, the number of the units. There is a lot of problem that I believe that I can do it and help a lot to resolve the problem, especially instead of many of the staff in planning department and other of that, they are not familiar with the problems in city of Beverly Hills because they are not here all the day. So they have some idea and they push for it. I believe that a combination of the knowing the problems in a city and talking with many people, you can have better solution in a housing element. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate 10.
I bring to the City Council a dedication, a wealth of knowledge from many years of experience, both as a teacher professor in New York for 20 years, as well as sitting on the Board of Education for 8 years, elected twice, and finishing my terms. I also served on the Health and Safety Commission, which is something I'm going to highlight because that differentiates me. Not just the Planning Commission, where you do everything that prepares for City Council, which is terrific. But let me talk just a second about the Health and Safety Commission. I'm a doer and an actualizer, and I went into the Medical Science Academy at the high school, and I worked with the students there to enlighten them as to the dangers of smoking. And they went and they researched it, and they came before City Council, they came before the Housing Health and Safety Commission, and they had 3-minute speeches that wowed everybody. So we passed 4 pieces of legislation, which is tremendous. One precedent setting in the United States, prohibiting the sale of tobacco. So I don't know what else one wants to do than give young people the ability to have a voice, to make a change, to know that they're vital people in this community. And I think I've done that, and I think I would want to do that again and again. There are many things young people can get involved in. You have a voice, you can make a difference, and you can be the future.
Thank you very much. Candidate number 2, same question.
Thank you. Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. What makes me different from the other candidates is that I'm currently an elected official and I'm representing our community now as a school board member. And in many ways, I'm dealing with many of these issues and confronting many of these issues that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And as well, working with our city council and our city partners to address these issues. I've been a liaison for the Health and Safety Commission as a board member, as well as a board member, the liaison to our Recs and Parks Commission. And I am on the JPA negotiating team and working with our city council as we have negotiated our last JPA agreement, and we're looking forward to our resource with the Hawthorne School and how we can best serve the city and our community together with that resource. What I have proven and demonstrated as a board member is that I listen, that I'm approachable, and that I'm able to focus and identify on the issues. And most importantly is that I'm able to get results. And when we talk about wanting change, during my time on the school board, we've made more change for issues that have been stalled and have been languishing within the district for over 10 years. And in this time, we've made change, and I've had proven results. And so as a candidate, I can say that you can be sure that as a candidate, as a city council member, that I will actually get things done. And that's what makes me different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate 3, same question.
Okay. Well, since you're in Interact, I'm the only member, I'm the only person here who was president of the Rotary Club and helped to build the Interact Club. And I have to give a shout out to Les Bronte, who for years and years has run the Interact Club, and then to Joni Garrett, who has taken it on, because we've had great leadership. And I've had the privilege of having sat on this board and having student board members who are now members of Rotary. So maybe you will be sometime too. And a student board member who is an assistant superintendent up in the Bay Area. So I've been around for a long time. And I do think it's important that I am both a mother and a grandmother and a sister and all of that. And I'm really proud of the fact that I have raised my kids here, and they all live within 2 miles of me. And I have a granddaughter who is in the district, and I am very much aware of all the different generations. And I would argue that I'm not the oldest one here, but in my mind, I am one of the youngest in my mind, and with my energy and my vibrancy and my excitement about the possibility of serving this city as a city council member. And I want to say that I think that I would do a wonderful job. I have more experience in terms of finance, policy, and governance than anyone else on this dais right now. And I think that that is vitally important. This is not an entry-level position. And I do think that people need to come into it with a large amount of experience, not just walking in off the street. And I have been out talking to people and hearing what they have to say. And I do listen. Not only do I listen and I hear, but I know that people want to be seen. And my goal is to have a big tent where all of the members of our committee can be listened to, heard, and seen. And I hope that I will get all of your votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate number 4.
Thank you. So what set me apart from the rest of the candidates is that first I speak the language of development. And I think that this is something very important when you are thinking in a city, in an urban infrastructure, in an urban design, in an urban planning. It is really important to be able to understand how it works, to be able to read plans, to be able to read construction documents, to be able to plan where things are going to be. Because a lot of policies, when they are drafted and they are not understood, what are the effects that create in the development, we create really a big problem later on for the construction, for the architecture, or for the planning. So it is really important that we have that knowledge in place. And I think that is something that is very strong with me. I have worked for many years in the architecture and design industry for many architectural design firms with a lot of projects, projects here in US, projects internationally, and also in the Architectural Commission. We review dozens of projects constantly. So I have the experience. And something that it makes me set apart is that I always make the extra effort to go far from where it is. Like, for instance, when I was doing the arts in education program here in the schools, I not only just ran it for the district, but I also ran it for 33rd district. I also ran it to the state of California, because it was important for me that the people who were participating, the students who were participating, we could have the great credit, and they could have used that credit of the work that they were doing for applying for universities, for schools. And I think that was mainly the goal, no? Mainly to prepare the students to be better and to be ready for the challenges that are outside.
Thank you. And on behalf of BHEF and Interact, thank you to everyone for attending this forum, and thank you so much to all of the candidates for participating.
Lastly, sorry. Thank you so much to KBEV for also making this night possible. Thank you to Jillian and Lisa for timing. And also, don't forget to vote on or by March 5th. Have a great night.
So what did I miss? What were the questions that I missed?